The eviction notice trembled in Marcus Wilson's weathered hands as he glanced at his 5-year-old daughter Lily, peacefully coloring at their kitchen table, blissfully unaware that they had exactly 72 hours before becoming homeless. If you're feeling moved by this story already, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to our channel for more real-life inspirational journeys that remind us of the power of human resilience. "Daddy, I made you a superhero," Lily announced, holding up her crayon drawing. A stick figure with impossibly broad shoulders wore a cape fashioned from what appeared to be their tattered living room curtains. Marcus forced a smile, carefully folding the eviction notice and slipping it into his pocket. How could he tell her that even superheroes sometimes ran out of options? 3 years earlier, Marcus had been a different man. He and his wife Elena had decent jobs, a modest but comfortable apartment, and dreams as vast as the night sky. Then came the pregnancy, unexpected but welcomed with open arms and hearts full of hope. Their daughter Lily arrived on a stormy April morning, all pink-faced and perfect. For 8 months, they were the family Marcus had always wanted but never thought he'd have. Then came the accident. A rainy night, a truck driver who'd fallen asleep at the wheel, and Elena was gone. Just like that. The funeral expenses devoured their savings. The grief devoured Marcus. Only Lily's needs kept him functioning, forcing him to put one foot in front of the other each morning. "We'll be okay, baby girl," he whispered to himself as much as to his sleeping daughter that night, after she'd been tucked in with her favorite stuffed elephant. "Daddy promises." The next morning, Marcus called every friend, every distant relative, every former colleague. Most calls went unanswered. Those who did pick up offered sympathetic words but little else. The economy was tight. Everyone was struggling. By afternoon, he sat at the kitchen table, head in his hands, the weight of failure crushing his chest. His phone buzzed with a text from his former boss at the construction company, "Can't offer much. 3-day job clearing out an old warehouse. Cash only. Interested?" It wasn't enough to cover rent, but it was something. Marcus texted back immediately, "I'll be there." The warehouse job was grueling. For 3 days, Marcus hauled debris, dismantled shelving, and loaded dumpsters. His muscles screamed, his hands blistered and bled, but he worked without complaint. The foreman, impressed by his determination, slipped him an extra $50. "You're a hard worker, Wilson. Wish I could keep you on." Marcus pocketed the cash, still not enough, but closer. On his way home, he passed a community center with a sign in the window, "Free childcare while you job hunt." The next morning, he dropped Lily off at the center, his heart aching as she clung to his leg. "I'll be back soon, princess. Daddy's going to find us a new home. Promise?" Her bottom lip trembled. "Cross my heart," he said, making the gesture that always made her giggle. This time, she only nodded solemnly. Marcus spent the day going door to door at every business within walking distance. By late afternoon, he had 2 promising leads, a night shift at a 24-hour diner and weekend work at a local moving company. Neither offered benefits, but combined, they might just cover a small apartment. At the community center, he met Sarah, the program coordinator who had taken a special liking to Lily. "She's quite the artist," Sarah said, showing him a stack of Lily's drawings. "And she talks about her superhero daddy non-stop." Marcus swallowed hard. "I don't feel much like a superhero these days." Sarah studied him with kind eyes. "There's a small efficiency apartment above my garage. It's nothing fancy, but it's clean and safe. I've been meaning to rent it out." "I can't accept charity," Marcus said immediately, pride stiffening his spine. "It's not charity. It's $400 a month, utilities included. And maybe you could help with some repairs around the property when you have time." She held up a hand when he started to protest. "I'm a single mom myself. I know what it's like. Sometimes we need a bridge to get to the other side." That night, as Marcus packed their meager belongings, Lily asked, are we going on an adventure, Daddy? He paused, a framed photo of Elena in his hands. Yes, baby. A new adventure. The apartment above Sarah's garage was indeed small, just one room with a kitchenette and a tiny bathroom, but it was clean and bright. Sarah had put a vase of wildflowers on the small table and a stuffed bunny on the pull-out couch that would be Lily's bed. "Welcome home," she said simply, handing him the key. The next few months were a blur of exhaustion. Marcus worked the night shift at the diner, came home to get Lily ready for preschool, slept for a few hours, picked her up, spent precious time with her before Sarah watched her while he worked evening shifts at the moving company. Weekends were for the moving company again. His body ached constantly, but for the first time since Elena's death, he felt a flicker of hope. Sarah became more than a landlord. On nights when Marcus worked late, she invited Lily for dinner with her own son, Jake, who was 7 and thought Lily hung the moon. When Marcus's car broke down, Sarah's brother, a mechanic, fixed it for the cost of parts. When Lily had a fever, Sarah sat with her while Marcus finished his shift. "You don't have to do all this," Marcus told her one evening as they sat on her porch, watching the children play in the yard. "We're building a village," she replied simply. "That's what people are supposed to do." 6 months into their new life, the diner owner offered Marcus a management position with regular hours and health insurance. The moving company owner, disappointed to lose his hardest worker, connected Marcus with his brother who ran a home renovation business and needed a reliable weekend crew member. With steady income, Marcus began to dream again. He opened a savings account. He took Lily to the zoo. He bought a small Christmas tree and wrapped presents. He even began taking online classes in business management during the precious few hours between Lily's bedtime and his own collapse into exhausted sleep. 1 year after the eviction notice, Marcus had saved enough for a security deposit on a small 2-bedroom apartment. It was nothing luxurious, but Lily would have her own room with walls she could paint any color she wanted. "Purple with silver stars," she declared immediately. The day they moved in, Sarah and Jake came to help. As they unpacked boxes in the kitchen, Sarah handed Marcus an envelope. "What's this?" he asked. "Open it." Inside was a check, a refund of every cent he'd paid in rent for the garage apartment. "I can't accept this," he said, trying to hand it back. Sarah closed his fingers around the envelope. "It was always a savings plan, not rent. I've been putting it aside for you. For this day." Marcus stood speechless, tears burning his eyes. "Daddy, come see my room." Lily called from down the hall. "Go," Sarah said softly. "Your daughter needs her superhero." That night, after Lily was asleep in her new purple bedroom, Marcus sat at the small desk in his own room and opened his laptop. He began to type. "My name is Marcus Wilson. A year ago, I was a broken man with a 5-year-old daughter and an eviction notice. Today, I want to tell you how we made it through, and how I'm starting a community support network for single parents in crisis." His fingers flew across the keyboard as he outlined his plan, a nonprofit that would connect struggling single parents with resources, temporary housing, job opportunities, and most importantly, a community that understood. He would call it Bridges, in honor of Sarah's words that first day. 2 years later, Bridges had helped 27 families find stable housing and employment. The local newspaper ran a feature story. A small grant came through. Sarah joined the board of directors. Marcus's renovation skills, honed during weekend work, were put to use fixing up donated properties that would become transitional housing. Lily, now 8, proudly wore a T-shirt with the Bridges logo, a simple drawing of people holding hands across a bridge, which had begun as one of her crayon sketches. She had her mother's artistic talent and her father's determination. "Do you think Mommy can see what we're doing?" she asked Marcus one evening as they delivered welcome baskets to a new family moving into a Bridges apartment. Marcus looked at his daughter, healthy, happy, secure, and at the young mother receiving keys to her first stable home in months, her own children peeking shyly from behind her legs. "I know she can, baby. And I know she's proud of you." 5 years after that terrible day with the eviction notice, Marcus stood on a small stage at the community center, accepting an award for community service. Lily, now 10, sat in the front row between Sarah and Jake, clapping wildly. Behind them were dozens of families whose lives had been touched by bridges. "I'm not standing here because I'm special," Marcus said into the microphone. "I'm here because when I was at my lowest, someone built a bridge for me instead of a wall. I'm here because my daughter never stopped believing her daddy was a superhero, even when I'd stopped believing in myself." He paused, looking out at the faces watching him, some still struggling, some on their way to stability, all part of the village they'd built together. They say it takes a village to raise a child. But sometimes, it takes a child to raise a village. My daughter taught me that love is the only currency that never runs out. When we had no money, we still had love. And in the end, that was enough to build everything else. As the applause washed over him, Marcus caught Lily's eye. She was making their special sign, fingers crossed over her heart, their private "I love you." He returned the gesture, his heart so full it felt like it might burst. That night, as he tucked Lily into bed, she asked, "Are you happy, Daddy?" Marcus thought about the journey, the pain, the struggle, the endless nights of worry, but also the kindness, the community, the purpose they'd found. "Yes, baby girl. I'm happy." "Me too," she said, yawning. "And I think Mommy is happy too, watching us help people." Marcus kissed her forehead. "I think you're right." Later, sitting on the small balcony of their apartment, Marcus looked up at the stars. Somewhere up there, Elena was watching. He hoped she was proud. He hoped she knew that their daughter was growing up surrounded by love and community. He hoped she knew that her death, while devastating, had ultimately led to dozens of lives being changed for the better. "We're okay, Elena," he whispered to the night sky. "We made it." And in that moment, with the gentle breeze carrying the scent of Sarah's garden below, Marcus knew with absolute certainty that they had indeed made it through the darkest night into a dawn brighter than he could have imagined. Not because he was special or stronger than others, but because he had refused to give up on love when everything else was lost. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue sharing stories of hope and resilience that remind us all of the extraordinary strength of the human spirit. Remember, sometimes the greatest wealth isn't found in a bank account, but in the connections we build with one another.